So let's get started. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another Berkeley Open Innovation Seminar. Today we have a very special presenter, Todd Brous. But Todd, before I direct all the attentions to you, I have an announcement. I just got a message on my phone which says Eindhoven University of Technology will be awarding an honorary doctorate to Professor Henry Chesbrough, recognizing not only his pivotal contribution to the scientific development of open innovation as a research field, but also his significant contribution to open innovation practice worldwide and Brainport Eindhoven in particular. Henry, I'm such an admirer of your work. I was so proud when I saw that news. Congratulations.
Matti, thank you so much. This was a delight for me to find out about too.
That being said, Todd Brous is going to present for us about AI, Agentic AI, and I don't know how to introduce Todd. Todd is a lot of things. He's an entrepreneur. He's an artist. He's a teacher, and he's a very good friend. And I have evidence for that because last year I was teaching a course in Brussels for the first time. I invited him to give the guest lecture. He accepted to give the guest lecture, and he surprised me. Spending from his own pocket, he traveled from New York to Brussels to give that guest lecture, and I had a chance to listen to his presentation for a full day. Todd, I'm so excited about your presentation, and take it away.
Matti, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And Henry, congratulations. You deserve that. That's fantastic. All right, let me thank you all for inviting me to do this. Let me share my screen. Is this working? Is this working?
Yes.
You see, is this working?
Yes, Todd.
All right. Let's see now. All right, let me rearrange my screen so I can see everybody's faces here because I love seeing faces when I make jokes and stuff because I know there's no real audience and no laughter. So hopefully this will be entertaining. We'll see. Okay, so what if all of you could become the world's greatest researchers? You don't have to do anything other than just start playing with and experimenting with artificial intelligence. Today, you're going to learn about where we are right now, a state of the art, a state of the AI, a state of the union in the age of AI, and also some strategies that I talk about on what you can do right now for your practice, for your research, for your businesses, and so on and so forth. I see a ton of Zoom chat stuff. So, okay, but yeah, if you have any questions, please let me get through this. Put your questions in the Zoom chat or write them down and we'll get to them at the end. Hopefully we'll have some time. I know my presentation is definitely too long, so I'll go through a lot of stuff very quickly. Some AI news just because I love doing this. Tonight, at 8 p.m. Pacific time, Elon Musk is releasing Grok 3, so we will see what that is like. The smartest AI on Earth. Okay, well, we'll see about that. In case you've been living under a rock and you haven't heard about DeepSeek that came out of China, this was their graph on DeepSeek, and it's performing for pennies on the dollar where OpenAI's technology was. Recently, OpenAI released a product called Deep Research. There's also versions of this from Perplexity and from Google. I actually put a research question into Perplexity and about open innovation. I'll upload the PDF that it wrote in a minute. You guys could tell me if this is good or bad, but let me just show you this. Oh, I need to share my audio.
I got access to Deep Research, and what I liked about it is that it really is trying to understand what the requester needs, even down to like, what geographies are you looking at? What industries are you looking at? All these tools can help enhance that. This week, I've been working on the semiconductor chip shortage. I want to understand the underlying reasons and which industries were affected the most and what the outlook will be for the next few years. So I put in a prompt. I asked it to look at industry publications, consulting briefs, publicly available data, as well as data from semiconductor associations. It summed up rather quickly what the underlying causes were and provided some context. And if you hover over the source, you can see that it leads you to a website. It will give me a very holistic view. And I'm excited because I can do it much faster now.
So please, for the researchers in the room, which I think is most of you, take a look at this. It's $200, but there are options available that are, less expensive from Perplexity, which is $20 per month. And also there's a bunch of open source things, which I'm only just starting to experiment with and see how they behave. Also, in terms of news, this is wild. Turn off the music here. What you are looking at right now is OpenAI's Operator, which is a web-based web browser in the cloud that they can control other apps. So they have Operator controlling Replit agent. This is one agent controlling another agent, and they're performing at levels of execution that are above and beyond what most developers could possibly imagine. So this is incredibly sophisticated and really exciting and also scary at the same time. So this is part of the state of AI and where we are right now. Let me move on because I know that this is a little bit too much. By the way, my name is Todd Brous. I'm going to be your cruise director for this. I'm really humbled to be here. I think, Mehdi, I think this is like the 4th or 5th time I'm presenting here or hosting some panel. And I got to tell you, like, I am incredibly grateful to all of you just to be a part of this community. And the stuff I'm going to talk about today is really workforce replacement, and I'm going to show some slides and some reports that signal where and what's happening and where we're progressing. I'm not presenting my own research. Just about everything here is from other people's work, and I'm compiling this into a state of the universe presentation. Some of the insight and the opinion are definitely, and the commentary is definitely my own, but I also will leave it up to you to determine what percentage of this entire presentation was created by AI, and if in fact I myself am an AI. And if you did enjoy this topic, like this is my audition to be a keynote speaker at the World Open Innovation Conference. So like, please vote for Todd. Anyway, so I do believe that this is the most exciting time in human history, and deep research. Oh, wonderful! I want to see that, Henry. I'm very biased, and I have some very strong but weakly held beliefs, and I do follow the evidence and the data, and I question everything, Bayesian statistics. But I also believe that this is the most exciting time in human history. So I'm going to say some of the quiet stuff out loud here. You'll get a sprinkle of this, and some of it's going to be controversial. And the goal is to get everyone thinking about how to replace jobs. How should we be orienting our research, and specifically, how do we perceive outside in open innovation being affected by this, and open innovation in itself? How do these tools and technologies really affect the practices and the research that we do? And again, many of you may disagree with me. That's okay. I am absolutely here for you when you finally come around. And I promise it's going to be okay. We are entering the beginning stages of a post-labor economy. Henry, you got your hand up.
Yeah, Todd, you are, among many things, a big fan of Kareem Lakhani.
Yes,
and
I have.
Kareem is on record as saying people with AI will replace humans without AI. And it brings to mind the debate about AI augmentation and supplements and enhancement versus substitution. Are you going to get into that question in your presentation?
Yeah.
Okay.
And here. Yes. I am
Henry,
going.
you made me run to get my t-shirt and actually put my camera on since you said that,
Thanks,
like
Ricky.
I wasn't going to, but since I have the shirt, I got to show it off,
I love you, man.
For those who don't know, Todd
in
sells
your little
these
window, I
shirts.
can't read the shirt. What does it
It's the
say?
quote you just gave from Karim Lakhani.
Ah, okay.
So
yeah.
it's on this shirt that I got from Todd. Buy it from Todd's store. Vote for Todd for next president.
That's true. Todd supplies a lot of merch for the open innovation community, I must say.
Oh my goodness. You guys are embarrassing me. Here, I'll put a link in the Zoom chat. By the way, I was trying to upload the PDF. Mehdi, I was trying to upload the PDF from Perplexity. I can't upload PDFs into the Zoom chat, so Berkeley disabled that. So we'll have to fix that one of these days. All right, anyway, Yes, I'm going to talk about some of those things, and I've got a list of research papers and some academic papers that really kind of give signals to the augmentation effects and the replacement effects that are happening. But I'll get that. So, and again, just on this slide, I have a note, like depending on the industry, the jobs, the roles, and what it is that you're doing, early adopters of these technologies definitely have an advantage. However, there are some important second mover advantages. So by waiting and learning and from the experience of early adopters, you actually might benefit from that. And it depends on what you're doing and what industry you're in and where you're going. So capitalize on other people's pitfalls is always a good thing to do. Let them spend the money and the time. But the bottom line is that the AI bomb has already exploded, and we're just starting to feel the effects of that blast wave. So again, we are in the age of AI. I always go back to Kareem Lakhani for a guiding light on much of what's happening here. And Kareem said that one of his quotes was, "The marginal cost of cognition and creativity is dropping to zero." And folks who've seen my previous presentations have heard me talk about this extensively. This is a graph that I created that really kind of the goal is to try and explain what that means. What is that universe that Kareem is painting, where cognition and understanding and creating things costs marginally zero. And I think he does an incredible job of explaining that in the context of the internet. It costs us marginally nothing to send an email. How much does it cost you to send an email? Well, you just need the internet and a computer or a cell phone or whatever. You can send an email or video or whatever to anybody, and it doesn't really cost you anything. Now apply that to understanding, apply that to creating things. That's an entirely new universe that we're describing here. And to me, this is incredibly exciting and also very, very scary. The early bird gets the worm, but it's the second mouse who gets the cheese. Thank you, Henry. Oh God. Anyway, so these are some of the chapters of a book that I'm working on AI effects. And again, yes, it's the augmentation effects. It's the humans with AI. It gives us the ability to increase our productivity. One of the questions that I'll come back to is that I ask my students to think about, well, who are the primary beneficiaries of those augmentation effects? When your productivity increases, who benefits? Something to think about. The replacement effects, again, this is the workforce replacement that I'm going to be showing some evidence towards and some reports on. This is the scary stuff. This is the automation of tasks leading to the replacement of jobs. But we've seen this throughout history. In the Industrial Revolution, machines and robots will take over assembly line jobs. There's nothing new here. These are the droids you're looking for. Okay. That's replacement. We've had this for. What's new here is that these are cognitive engines. These are attacking the knowledge worker, and it's happening now, and we're starting to see this show up. The good news is there's augmentation, so the workforce is shifting, but we're going to come to a head at some point. The transformation effects, this is, as an entrepreneur, this stuff makes me drool. This is the creation of entirely new tasks, new roles, new business models, new industries, new ecosystems that are going to arise out of generative AI. This is fundamentally changing the nature of work and the economy. I love this, the transformation effects. I try and encourage my students to start to think about what that means. One of the examples to frame that transformation effects is like, you've heard of B2B, business to business, B2C, business to consumer. Well, now, in the age of agentic AI, we're going to start to see A to A, agent to agent. This is an entirely new way of doing business, rewrite the rules of the economy, agent to agent, where every person, every business, will have various agents working on their behalf. That's a new ecosystem. That's a new entrepreneurial component, and I'm incredibly excited. And again, acceleration effects, well, because everything's happening so much freaking faster, it's really, really scary. And again, so little Wayne Gretzky, something he said about skate to where the puck is going, not where it's been. Don't look exactly at where we are today. Look where we're going and how quickly we will get there. And this is unsettling. Okay. So here's what you need to know. I'm going to get straight to the point. AGI is here, basically, for the most part, arguably. I don't know. I give up. I can't tell you anymore. Is AGI here? Is it not here? The bottleneck is absorption and dissemination. Sound familiar, Henry? Everything is still really fuzzy. The AI is good at some things and not good at others, also known as that jagged frontier. And I also love this paper from Fabrizio Dell'Acqua, Ethan Mollick, and Karine Lakhani wrote this, the Navigating the Jagged Technological Frontier. I keep coming back to this paper. We suggest that the capabilities of AI create a jagged technological frontier where some tasks are easily done by AI, while others, though seemingly similar in difficulty level, are outside the current capability of AI. And I don't know if there's a better concept that really explains these cognitive changes that we're seeing. But one thing is that people don't seem to, they seem to forget that, like, hey, wait a second, this frontier is moving outwards like a blast wave. So what AI is what AI is not good at today, which requires you as a human in the loop, so to speak, to do, it's gonna get better tomorrow. So again, I mentioned earlier, like, that AI bomb has already exploded, and we're just now starting to feel that blast wave. So AI is augmenting you today, it's replacing you tomorrow. These are some warnings. So the question we need to ask yourselves is, if you think or create for a living, then your current job will eventually be replaced by a human with AI. Wait a second, this is unsettling, this is scary. But that, I'm going to go back a slide. I just want to, if it's augmenting you today, it's replacing you tomorrow. That blast wave is moving outwards, that jagged frontier is moving outwards exponentially faster. So again, that exponential, I knew I had a slide here. Things are changing exponentially faster. Need proof? Okay, here's a slide that I found from this blog, AI scores on humanity's last exam. Here's where OpenAI deep research is, where, again, this is their grade scale. But so there's still room to go in terms of this metric. But look at this hyperbolic. I mean, this is insane. Here's a slide from Leopold Aschenbrenner. This is a paper that he wrote, a blog post that he wrote. This is, I'm going to put this into the Zoom chat. This is definitely worth a read if you haven't read it already. What year is it? 2025? Oh, okay, we're here. Right now we've got deep research. We are entering this level of automated AI research. When this happens, and when it happens effectively, are these tools going to start to get even faster and faster and faster? And we're on that track. We're on that roadmap. So I think that his prediction needs to be moved to the left a little bit here on this graph. This is a post from Sam Altman from February 2nd, congratulating his team on building deep research. Deep research can do single-digit percentages of all economically valuable tasks in the world. Now, okay, understanding that Sam Altman has got a product he's trying to sell you, so at $200 a month, it's not cheap. But, like, okay, wait a second, is he right? Well, yeah, he actually might be. This is a post that Ethan Mollick wrote on the GPQA diamond scores of AI over time. I've got another slide of this. This is also from Ethan's.
Todd, excuse me to interrupt you. What is deep research?
What is deep research?
Yeah.
Oh, so deep research is a product that that was the video that I just showed. That OpenAI announced. They named it a generic name. Google had their own product called Deep Research. OpenAI released their Deep Research. Perplexity just released their Deep Research. So I'm assuming that there's no brand name here, but this is a functionality of some of their agentic tools. And there are a handful of open source deep research pipelines that people can have access to. So you can give it a prompt and it will go and do the homework for you. So that's what deep research is. Vlad, you got your hand up, and I just want to mention something about this slide.
Yeah, sorry. So I think it's helpful for people who have not tried this to go through a little bit through the customer experience journey with deep research, because it's a bit different than, let's say, the typical ChatGPT interaction that you might be used to. So
correct.
You're writing a prompt, even a long prompt, and the answer is like 10 questions going deep into the domain, asking for clarification. You then answer each one of these questions before the AI will take 15, sometimes 25 minutes to answer something that is like 10 pages out, like on the journal level paper quality. That's
Yeah, that's
deep
correct.
research.
And again, like that, you're describing OpenAI's implementation of their deep research product. It's fantastic. It's at that level. But and I don't have it. I'm not paying the $200 a month to use it. We should probably schedule some demonstrations of this tool. But we can talk about that later. So on this slide that was from Ethan Malik, just to most of you are here have PhDs or are getting PhDs, unlike myself. This is a human PhD using Google. Okay, so imagine you give a person who has a PhD and you give them access to Google in their field and you're asking them to solve a problem. Here's where they perform. OpenAI's O3 model outperforms a PhD expert in their field using the internet to search and solve a problem. What are we talking about here? This stuff is smarter than all of us. Now, what's not here is the price and the cost. Okay, well, here's the price and the cost. So this was a graph from the ARC Prize, which is an AGI exam, a metric to see how far this stuff is going. OpenAI's O3 tuned model got 88% on their ARC Prize. Notice the price, the scale is logarithmic. So I think people have estimated they're somewhere between $500,000 and $750,000 to get here, and that's a one-shot deal, right? Like let's just prove to the world that we can do it. You're going to see the cost of this plummet exponentially fast in the coming months, and if Elon Musk's Grok 3 is on there, who knows what we're going to see soon. Some more data that's unsettling and exciting. Test scores of AI systems on various capabilities relative to human performance. Oh, great. Here's the zero line, the human performance. And wait, what are we talking about here? Like we're outperforming this? Yeah, great. And I also want to point out that this was from 2023. So that's old. So since things are changing so freaking fast right now, this means that uncertainty is exceptionally high. So what do we do? What should we do? I don't know. What do you think? You're the smart people in the room. You tell me. So uncertainty is exceedingly high, and making decisions under high levels of uncertainty is kind of like the life that I live as an entrepreneur. I find this incredibly exciting. And just a little side note here in terms of the uncertainty effects, that we can turn towards the mathematicians who've been studying this for what feels like centuries. Chaos theory, uncertainty quantification, robust decision making. So the unpredictability, being agile, knowing your range of outcomes using whatever data in whatever industry you're in, and choosing various strategies to have backup plans, contingency plans are really good things to have when you're dealing with exceptionally high levels of uncertainty. And I don't know what your thoughts are, but I feel as though this is never going to go away. I feel like every day, every week, something new comes out that increases the level of uncertainty. And even my students keep asking me, well, what tools should I use? What should I do? I get this question asked constantly. And the answer is simple: experiment. And it's like, yeah, Todd, great idea. No, duh, I should experiment. But you're not helping, Todd. Like, okay, so what should I experiment on? Where should I run an experiment? And the answer to that is really freaking easy. Now, there's this concept of modularity that some of you may or may not have ever heard of. If you've never heard of modularity, please raise your hand and I will have Carlos Baldwin fly over to your home and hit you on the head with a tack hammer. So, Carlos, I love you. So where should you experiment? The answer is modularity. And few people are really talking about this strategically. There's one paper that I'll show you later that mentions the general concept, but they don't call it out as modularity. This is the answer, folks. This is the strategy. So look for any thinking or creative module within your organization or practice, find those inputs and outputs, search for the cognitive processes within that module, and explore those metrics and thresholds for success that determine the various stages. That's the answer. If you can find a module within your organization, within your practice, that's a great place to run an experiment, because by design, thank you, Carlos, it's just like, that's how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be replaceable. You're supposed to run those experiments. But I feel like folks haven't read volume 1 and volume 2. And Carlos, I'm still reading getting through volume 2. And in case you haven't read I'm putting this into the Zoom chat so that everyone, this is your homework. Your homework is to read Carlos's books. They're thick. They're really thick, folks. Okay. I don't know how you did it, Carlos. I really just like I'm just dumbfounded. All right, I'm running out of time, so I'm going to skip. So I uploaded. Go ahead, Maddie.
Todd, 2 points. One is so the other presenter, it seems like he's traveling between Belgium and US. Apparently, he's stuck somewhere in the way, so you will have more time. And I suggest we keep it for the demo part that you want to show those tools discussed at the end. So please don't be in rush. And the second thing is there is a question from Henry in the chat.
Oh, I missed it. Sorry.
Yeah,
what did Henry ask?
It's about.
Will you discuss evidence to date about the limited adoption of AI to business to date? So I have some papers, some from Deloitte, PwC. I'll show I have papers that I'm going to assign homework from. I've got reading for people. Like that's the evidence that's there. There appear to be real barriers that are limiting the use of AI in real business situation. That's a good question, and I think I have thoughts on what those barriers are and what those friction points are. Every time I sit down with somebody and say, hey, well, so show me what you're doing. One, I think that they're not thinking about this in terms of modularity. I think they're thinking about it in terms of, oh, it should just do everything, and then they fail. So these failed experiments, I feel as though they're just not setting them up properly. I also feel as though business leaders are reluctant to be the first mover. I think they're taking a wait and see approach. I was on a Zoom call with the CEO of a publicly traded company back in December, and he was like, yeah, we're not touching it. Their legal department says, absolutely not. You will get sued if you use any AI. I'm like, even machine learning? Yeah, any AI. So they're like, okay. And their IT department said, well, we can't allow our employees to use any of these chat GPTs because they're going to upload our proprietary confidential data and they're going to train on us. So I think there's a massive amount of misunderstanding industry-wide that's preventing a lot of these companies to execute on this stuff. So there are some serious barriers, but we should talk about that because I'm curious to know what other people are thinking and what other people are seeing. Okay, modularity. Wait, let me go back. I feel like there was another thing that I had about modularity. Oh yeah, so like there's all of that innovation absorption and innovation dissemination. Henry, help me out here. Like I think that folks, if you don't know what open innovation is, please raise your hand and I'll have Henry Chesbrough come to your house and hit you on the head with a tack hammer. I'm skipping ahead. We were talking about this cognitive engines. These tools are capable of effectively outthinking you. And I use these tools every day. I'm hoping all of you are using them every day because again, I'm a lifelong learner. I'm a student. I want to learn everything. I want to know everything about the world and I want to teach it to everyone I know and meet. That's like my meaning of life. And just being able to sit down with these tools and have a conversation okay, here's Carlos's books. Tell me what I need to know about Carlos's books. And here's the analogy that I'm looking for. And yes, I can show you exactly how I did that. And it's exciting and it's scary, but is it a shortcut? Yes and no. Does it mean that you still don't have to do the homework as a researcher? Well, no, but maybe. So these are cognitive engines that really, really, truly can outthink you. Okay, so agentic AI. Now I know I've talked about this in my last presentation here, so I'm just going to try and get through this. What is agentic AI? This refers to the AI systems that possess the capacity to make autonomous decisions and take actions and achieve specific goals with limited or no direct human intervention. By that human intervention could be an option. Like you could design, say, before you do anything stupid, come check with me, right? So, imagine you're the team leader or the CEO of a company. You walk into a filled meeting room with your entire team and you say to them, okay, folks, we got work to do. Here's the mission. Here's the goal. Everyone clear on what we need to do? Good, I'm out. I got to go take another meeting. And the team goes and starts to do stuff. That's what we can do now. And is it perfect? No. But that team of people, are they perfect? No. Okay. So understand we're dealing with this replacement effect, this potential for replacement effect to autonomously replicate the human decision making of that team. So all of the goal setting, all of the planning, all of the adaptability, all of the feedback loops that that team would do is within our grasp technologically. And again, there's that innovation, dissemination, and diffusion of knowledge and acceptance. That there's friction there. There are barriers to this. Before doing a stupid thing, come to me. I'm not even sure I get this from. Yeah, right. Come to me before you do something stupid, please. I'm here for you. So, what is an agent? Because I just described agentic AI. So, what's an agent? An agent is just an individual component of one of these pipelines. So you've heard of, like, what we do with large language models like GPT-4o or ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini. Those are the large language models. You give it a prompt, it gives you some output. So an agent is a component of that kind of looks like that. But again, it's capable of interacting with its environment. It can collect data. It can use data to perform self-determined tasks to meet whatever predetermined goals or metrics that you're looking for. So, excuse me, humans will or can, or should, I don't know. It depends on the industry. Set those goals. So you can set the goals. You can also let the agents figure out what the right threshold here is. But the agent itself is independently choosing what are its best actions that it needs to perform to achieve whatever goal. So they're rational. Like, they can make rational decisions based on their perceptions of and data that they gather, or you're feeding it, and they can produce optimal performance and results when properly implemented. So now, if you're thinking to yourself, well, but people can do that too. Yeah, well, or they can't do that. Well, how many teams have you ever worked on, or how many students or postdocs have you had that they made a mistake, right? So you have to go in, you have to iterate, you have to fix it. That's not going away anytime soon. But what's changing is that these cognitive engines that are really going to give us superpowers. I have way too many notes on this slide. The differences of humans, so human motivations and drives, and versus the AI motivation. Yeah, okay, I'll skip. So here's a diagram that I found from this really great paper on agentic stuff to kind of explain the inner workings of an agent, an individual agent. And they stand apart because they have, again, that ability to reason and adapt and refine their actions in response to those changing environments and goals. So you're dealing with this, again, this input, this task, that prompt, and you're going to get some output. But the difference here is, instead of it just being a simple LLM, there's a bunch more stuff going on here. And this is really important that folks kind of understand that this is just an individual building block. Okay, like, this is just one component of, like, imagine like an automobile or racing car. Well, like, I'm looking at one gear, or the engine here. Okay, so I can put multiple engines together, I can put multiple components together, and I can architect, or I can ask the agents themselves to architect their own complexity. We're not there yet, by the way, but that's on the roadmap. So this LLM, like, so for example, GPT-4o or O1 or O3 or Claude or Gemini, the large language model is providing the reasoning. So DeepSeek DeepSeek R1 is a reasoning large language model. And these different LLMs have different capabilities, and they can be interchanged with this module here. Okay, I'm going to go back to the modularity. And this is the reasoning engine. It's kind of like the thinking, it's the brain. We're augmenting the LLM with memory. And by this memory, depending on its implementation, depending on its use case, can be short-term or long-term, or both. We will also give it access to a bunch of tools. So, and with those tools, it can access an environment. So with ChatGPT, you can enable the search button. If you're on the paid, it's even in the free now. You can do search in the free tier for ChatGPT, where it'll do a search. So it's doing an internet search. That's a tool. The internet search is a tool that this agent has. So what am I describing here? Well, wait, Todd, did you just say that ChatGPT is effectively an agent? Yeah, they're adding agentic capabilities to the user interface, the consumer user interface of ChatGPT. That's what's happening. We are getting beyond just simply the prompt to an LLM to a response. We're able to augment this stuff with additional information, additional tools, additional memory, and access to its environment. The cognitive skills are really interesting because oftentimes the large language model itself may or may not have access to certain concepts and certain processes and certain mental models. So we can also imagine us going ahead and building a traditional machine learning, recommender engine, right? And saying, or a deep neural network or a decision tree, and saying, hey, large language model, or sorry, agent, I'm going to give you access to a tool that's going to help you make a decision. So you're going to feed it some information, this cognitive skill, and you're going to be able to do something with it, and it's going to tell you, here's what you should go do, and this is what we predict, or whatever model you're doing. These cognitive skills can come in all sorts of different shapes and sizes. All of this can come in different shapes and sizes. So I hope that is clear on what's happening here. The other thing I just want to mention about the memory, I need to update my notes on this. That memory, for those of you who are technical, can exist as retrieval augmented generation, RAG for short. So it can exist in a vector database, and it can exist in a knowledge graph, graph database, and it can also be short term, and this would also be considered part of the context window. So when you're typing into ChatGPT, that typing field is considered the context window. If you start a new conversation with ChatGPT, does it remember the previous conversation? Well, it might. It's not, it doesn't really, it's like a new thread, a new conversation in its entirety. But because ChatGPT is a consumer-facing product, they have provided it with long-term memory about you, about your profile. So ChatGPT knows that I teach a class at the School of Visual Arts because I keep telling it, hey, this is for my class at SVA. It also knows that I study, that I'm interested in open innovation and artificial intelligence. So it has a profile about me, but that's kind of different than this memory that I'm referring to. This is really in the agent itself. We can augment the context window with RAG technologies. So it provides a ground truth to the model. This is our proprietary data. This is what we know to be true. This is what I want you to base your output on. That ground truth is absolutely fantastic. One of the things that people keep talking about is, well, this is a bit of a tangent on this slide, but should I fine tune my large language model or should I use RAG? Almost every single time I have had this conversation, I feel as though RAG is the solution. There are some really small use cases that I can come up with where we would want to fine tune a large language model, and this is debatable. An example would be medical. Like, hey, we need to fine tune this large language model with the concepts, the vocabulary of medicine, and in order to get a better response out of the LLM. But the problem with that is it's expensive because every time someone releases a new LLM, we have to redo the fine tuning. So there are use cases, it's complicated, and we can, and it depends. Gotta love a Harvard Business School response to every question. It depends. All right, so a
Todd,
couple. Oh yeah, question.
I have a question on your slide. Which part of this picture is the previous picture? Which part is the proprietary for that differentiates these different companies that we see? Is it the LLM part, or is it what is unique that separates like OpenAI from DeepSeek from?
Oh, that's the question. Okay, OpenAI primarily their primary value proposition is a large language model and various versions of those large language models. They provide the service for it. So does Google with Gemini. So does Anthropic with their Claude products. Those are large language models. They are adding, in some cases, features such for all these other components here. The example from the consumer-facing product was the search button in ChatGPT. So that's adding a tool, a search tool, and providing additional information to ChatGPT. The OpenAI deep research product is, doing this for a specific task and doing it a lot of it. Okay, it's refining it. It's constantly going through the process. It's iterating on this task of doing research the same way a human would. Okay.
Yep. By my question, I mean, when we say like DeepSeek is open, what does it mean? It means that the LLM codes are open, or which part is closed, which part is open, like between Llama
Great
or
question. So there are two concepts that folks need to understand when it comes to the large language model itself. It's open source, which we've studied, we've heard of. Linux is open source. We can look at the code. The other concept is open weights, and I don't have a slide on this, unfortunately, but open source and open weights. The open weights, that refers to the file that you can download of a trained large language model. So, by the way, the process of training a large language model is to using a bunch of like the transformers algorithm. It creates a file, a model that has the weights and biases that are representative of the input data. Okay, I think I did okay with that definition of what a large language model is, but it's those weights and biases, that back propagation, the process of using transformers and training those models and adjusting the knobs and dials of each neuron inside of the LLM. That, I think that's a good description of it. That file that is the result of the pre-training phase of building a large language model, you can download it. Okay, if you download it, I have access to it. I can use that model for my own personal inference. So thinking about like if you've trained a linear regression model, here's the model file. I can take that file and I can put it onto your computer and you could use it for inference. Same concept here. The open source, open weights, the difference is the open source is the source code, Python, for example, that was used to train the model. The open weights refers to the model file itself. DeepSeek released the model file so we can download it. We can use it for our own purposes, our own inference. And we could do this in a private environment. You can run distilled or quantized versions of the model on your own computers if you have a fast enough computer, which if we have time, I can give a demo of that because I think people are really interested in it. Or you could put the model, you can pay someone else to host the model for you, and you could pay for your usage, token-based usage on or compute-based usage on some cloud platform if you don't have a fast enough computer and you want to use the high-end model. That's with DeepSeek. But OpenAI and Anthropic and Google, no. It's their model, it's their file. They're not open source. They're not open weights. Although I think like the Gemma models, Google's Gemma and Meki, what's the other one that IBM's doing? Granite? It's Granite, right? Yeah, right. So those are open source and open weights. I know they're open weights. I don't know about the open source. Yeah, Granite.
Yes,
I played with Granite.
All of our data that it's trained on is publicly available.
It's beautiful. So IBM's taking a leadership there in terms of the way to do it. I don't know how well Granite's performing in terms of the leaderboard at this point. So I hope that answered the question, Maggie.
Very good in targeted areas, not very good on broad general areas, which is intentional.
Oh, so yeah, that's the other thing. It's like, you're going to see smaller large language models, so SLMs, that are really focused on a specific domain or use case or task that will make this architecture even better. So, but by the keep that in mind. Why is OpenAI called open? Well, yeah, Graham, hey, you start someplace, you end someplace else. All right. So again,
well, Todd, just to briefly comment on that, I think what I've read in the accounts of this is that they were intending to be open at the start.
Yes.
And then as they were putting together the technical requirements for the compute needed to train and run the models, they realized they were going to need huge amounts of compute, and much more than most nonprofits were going to be able to scrounge up. And I think that was then when the Microsoft partnership happened and a bunch of other things got set in motion. So I think that's at least part of the answer.
That's exactly right. And again, like when you're talking about technologies that are capable of transforming humanity, there's a lot of people who want a lot of money in this. So political, Elon Musk, what, that's for overtime. Yeah. So yeah, it's open. We'll see. All right. So wait, there was something that I wanted to mention here. Okay. So by the way, this is from LangChain's documentation. LangChain is a company that makes a Python framework for building agentic pipelines and whatnot. So just again, this input output modularity, Carlos, this LLM call, an action, a tool, this feedback loop that happens here. This feedback is really important, and I just wanted to make it clear that this reasoning didn't really show the feedback like the way this does. So things can iterate here. This is really an important concept that, again, this is part of handling this sophisticated task that, and it has to go through a number of rounds of this to figure out what is right. So again, there's a difference between an agentic, this core agentic thing that I keep hitting on. I just want to be clear that folks understand that there's a slight difference with this. The LLM directs its own actions based on environmental feedback. This iterative thing that's happening here. That's really important. Whereas these workflows, and by the way, I'm not going to say which one is better or both. In fact, it depends. But there's other stuff that happens here. So this prompt chaining and this parallelization, the LLM is embedded in predefined code paths, and you have this orchestrator worker, this evaluator optimizer, and this routing, where the LLM directs control flow through predefined code paths. Sometimes we know enough about what we're building and the way we build it to say, hey, you know what? This is just a workflow automation. Don't build an agent to do a workflow automation. You're barking up the wrong tree. So take that. This architectural concept is really important that you understand that there's some granularity down this route. One of the things that I've been working on is this evaluator optimizer for PQ for my startup. Where it's like, so imagine we are trying to create advertising that aligns with the brand strategy. How do we know if this image that was created automatically by a pipeline that had no humans in it will actually align with the does it send the right message? Does it, so imagine an artist's critique. So I come from the art world and designers world. It's like, hey, we're going to have a critique of your artwork. Okay. So I'm going to feed a photograph of my artwork, and it's going to give me feedback, good feedback and negative feedback. So this evaluator optimizer is super powerful in being able to, again, you'll see it looks very similar here, but this evaluator generator concept is really, really powerful when in the right use case. So these are some slides from Microsoft's paper on AutoGen. Again, just so people understand that you can architect these things depending on the task. So you have a student and assistant, and you will ask an expert. You'll have this assistant expert have a conversation. This retrieval augmented Q&A, this decision making and embodied agents. Supply chain optimization, so a commander, writer, and safeguards, dynamic task solving with a group chat. So there'll be a manager who will broadcast a message to a bunch of agents, and one of them will be like, I got this, I want to, and they'll raise their hand. That these are conversations. These are team-based conversations. Oh wait, that sounds like people. Okay. Conversational chess. Here's a paper that that really struck me, that was just dropped on the 10th of February. Here, this architecture is really cool. They're doing something really special. They're using it to update a knowledge graph. So if you have internal documentation, internal processes, or internal information that could be represented in a graph, and most of this, I believe, can be in a graph format, these guys came up with a way to, so you have this centralized controller. Again, this is all agentic. A central controller that'll a parsing section, an extraction, and an integration. So the parsing will have an ingest agent, a reader agent, and a summarizer agent. They'll pass this information on to an extraction where there'll be a schema alignment. So again, you were dealing with a schema of your graph network, an extraction agent, and conflicts resolution. Oh, these things don't work, so we have to figure out what broke, and we'll figure it out. And then another layer of this would be the integration. So you'll have this evaluator, and you'll have this knowledge graph storage. This is really freaking cool. And the use case of this just goes way beyond what you see here. But like these workflows, these multi-agents that are asynchronous and synchronous, and you've got these hybrid configurations with feedback loops and parallel pipelines, and those workflows from the previous slide. And by the way, if your head is spinning, well, this seems really complex. Well, yes, it is. It is complex, but it's a superpower. So that's where we are. And those diagrams before that were outlining communication flows is really important. So I'm just reading I got sidetracked by the Zoom chat. So these are teams of people. So imagine, so the analogy here is to understand that this agentic stuff applies to the person, to the people. So, and I'm, again, because of PQ, and this is, advertising is a low-hanging fruit. They are right smack dab in the bullseye of automation, and many advertising people are freaking out about it. There was an advertisement that Coca-Cola did in Christmas that was all generated by generative AI tools, and the press was horrible. Almost all of the negative press came from the advertising industry. All of the designers, all the animators, all the creatives, all the executive, they were just like, this was awful, horrible, it looked bad, it didn't tell a story. Then you ask the general person on the target market, what'd you think of the commercial? Loved it, spiritual, same on brand for Coca-Cola, absolutely fantastic. It's the industry that's about to be steamrolled by this technology that was against it. We're seeing this from the writer strike across the board. So creatives, advertising, oh boy, they're about to get steamrolled. And so this agentic team here, there's a lot of stuff that's going on. So you've got a brand manager and all of the tasks that a brand manager does, and all of the tasks and subtasks that a creative director does. So each of these, these bubbles here, and I was messing with another slide. I should have skipped this, but there's communication that goes on here. So what I'm still just trying to wrap my head around is all of the communication that these individual people do throughout their network connection. Looks like a graph network to me, but different tasks, different roles, different feedback loops occur through the people that are here. What is the analogy to an agentic workflow? And this to me is the hemorrhaging edge of where we're at right now. Like we're now just starting to be able to implement the highly complex analogies of each of these different roles and their subtasks into an agentic pipeline, so that all of this eventually gets replaced by an agentic stuff. So other examples, I don't know if one of my friends is a lawyer, if they were on here, but legal. So the same thing applies to legal teams, software development, you name it. If you have a team of people, and each of those individual people on that team have a series of tasks, cognitive, creative, that they're doing, we can start to look at the modularity. What are their inputs? What are their outputs? And start to think about how do we experiment and put in place an agentic AI pipeline for that stuff. And the promise is better, faster, cheaper, and safer. This came from David Shapiro, who's a thought leader on the stuff. So workforce replacement, but why? How are we doing on time? So what's driving this? Why is this happening? Why is this happening to me? This is, you're gonna hate this. It's Friedman versus Freeman. This is shareholder theory versus stakeholder theory. What's driving this? What's the motivation for workforce replacement? I mean, and this is a debate that I want to have with this community, like, so badly, because I hope I'm wrong, but I think I'm right. That pure profit, profit pursuit, like, that's the answer. It is shareholders all the way. Businesses exist to make money, and if a business isn't making money, what's it going to do? Like, it's going to, if they have surplus labor, they're going to fire their labor force. Like, that's what we do, at least in the West. That's what we do on average, right? So that's, I think, why this is happening. Your board of directors would not let you continue if you had the ability to replace, to do better, faster, cheaper, safer. Like, if you had that in your hands, first mover or second mover advantage, your board of directors is going to fire you if you're the CEO and you don't invest and you don't take advantage of this technology. So I don't know, but I feel as though it's the shareholder. Also, we could also discuss this in the context of global, regional, like so China, EU, the US have different, cultures and different systems for all of this. Okay, data, signals. How I'm out of time. So this is from Professor Anton Kornek from Darden. Oh gosh, I want to meet him so badly. He has got his finger on the pulse of this stuff like almost no one else, like maybe at the level of Ethan Mollick. AI systems will outperform human workers in all cognitive functions, including jobs that require creativity, and this one I don't like, emotional skills. Ultimately, I'm afraid that human capital will become the greatest legacy asset in history. Folks, we're entering a post-labor economy. Yeah, there it is. I think I had a version of that earlier. Okay, so by the way, let me go back. This is from, I'm going to copy and paste your homework. And yes, there's a quiz on Friday, so use AI to read through all of this. I'm joking, there's no quiz on Friday. So the World Economic Forum just published their jobs report. So here's, Henry, you were asking about some of the data, and I'm going to skip through a lot of this. But so this, we hear constantly upskill the workforce, reskill the workforce. We got to train the people for the future. You know what really upsets me to no end? Very few people have an answer to the question, what should we teach? Okay, I'm a teacher, all right? What should I learn? What skills do I need in the future? Very few people have an effective, good answer other than we just need to. It's like, thanks for telling me what the problem is. They're not even close to coming up with a solution. And I'm very critical and I'm very controversial on this. So upskilling is the top workforce strategy for employers by 2030. I don't think it's going to matter by then, but who knows? Share of employers planning to adopt these workforce strategies. Upskill your workforce, 85%. Great, thank you. I'm so thrilled for the upskilling. Wait, what's number 2? Accelerate the automation of processes and tasks. Wait, so we're going to automate the tasks and we're going to upskill our workforce. Does anybody else see some O'Reilly Tushman level tension and ambidexterity with those two things? Because I sure as hell do. Like, I don't see how that actually plays out in any other universe other than full automation. Because, look, one of my students, I don't have the time to tell this story, but one of my students, 62, 63, first semester I was teaching, he was like, Todd, I'm out. Like, I don't, this is a guy who was a Photoshop industry expert. Like, he would get hired for 1 to 2 weeks by an advertising agency to create beautiful print ads. And he's like, a generative AI, he can't, what would take him 1 or 2 weeks could now be done in seconds. So he's like, I'm out. So what do you do how do you have a person who's an industry expert we have to retrain. We have to teach them these skills to get them ahead. But at a certain point, in a certain cognitive, if you're in a cognitive industry, if you work in front of a computer, what job do you have? And this is the concern. This is the threat. The disruption to skills. 39% of workers' core skills will change by 2030. I think this is an underestimate beyond belief. Again, this was a survey. How will businesses respond to AI developments? So again, reskilling, hiring new people. Oh, I love this one. Hiring new people with skills to design AI tools and enhancements appropriate for the organization's specific skills. Okay, so this is interesting. Imagine the CEO of a company who has their core employees and they're hiring new people to watch what those employees do, specifically so that they could automate them. So if you are the CEO of a company, medium to large, because I don't think small companies or startups are really doing this. Small startups are focusing, they are AI first. But like if you're a medium company, if you're a large company and you've already established your core, the only people you should be hiring are the people who can automate the tasks of your core employees. This is Tushman, ambidexterity. These people should never, all the data flows towards the new business unit. Never, under any circumstance, do any of your core employees have any knowledge that these people even exist, that they're looking at their emails, that they're looking at their Slack, they're looking at the business practice. all of it. That's go ahead, Inga. Sorry.
Never connect.
Oh, that was accidental. So again, these are disrupting things that learn the skills that we popple 20 years from now. I don't know. I think we're Meki. I think we're entering a post-labor economy. So those skills are EQ, not IQ. It's like, hey, let's just hang out, because that's what's important. Because we're not going to be able to exchange our knowledge, our time, our labor.
You're missing the
for money.
intentional tautology.
Got it. Oh, sorry. All right. So here's another slide. Fastest growing, declining jobs. Again, big data, fintech, AI, machine learning specialists, and the declining are postal service clerks, data entry, and so on and so forth. Oh, this one really bothered my students. So the largest growing and declining, so the top largest declining jobs are graphic designers. So they threw, a massive hit at the School of Visual Arts. I heard anecdotally that enrollment at the university is down massively, aside from the Biden administration's, failure to deal with the loan stuff. But like the School of Visual Arts, like their design department is on the verge of collapse. Why? Because there's no job for a person to go to undergrad or grad and spend 1, 2, 4 years on learning something. This is a threat to that university. Carlos, oh, thank you. You raised your hand. Rescue me.
No, I just I want to chime in here. For some number of months now, I've been collecting in my own mind jobs that will not be replaced by AI. Hairdressers.
Yep.
I don't think we're at the point where any AI has that amount of eye-hand coordination to shape
Not yet.
shape your hair. Might happen, but also it doesn't seem like it's on the path. It's not on the easy path,
Right.
The other thing is I've been reading a book by a guy named Delfanti called The Warehouse. It's about Amazon.
Oh.
And Amazon practices. So this is another job that isn't being replaced exactly. Amazon uses something called chaotic storage. Chaotic storage means they still use workers pushing carts to move stuff around their warehouse. It's again, it has to do with hand-eye coordination. But the workers are not told where to place the objects. They place them randomly, chaotically, but with these tags on them, so that when the thing is needed, the next worker with his or her cart is told exactly and precisely where to go and pick it up with their hands and do the thing that we still do better, which is hand-eye coordination.
Right.
Which I found that quite, and Delfanti, who has a very interesting point of view, he says, thus chaotic storage of the monopoly it gives Amazon over warehouse inventory information is a form of worker dispossession by machine. Karl Marx looks better every day.
Right. Okay. So, there was a lot to unpack there. So one of the things that I ask my students in my class, and by the way, for those of you who are teachers and professors who actually run in front of a class, and if this is something that you talk about, I've had huge success on this discussion topic. One of the questions I ask my students is, what are the AI-proof jobs? What are the forever jobs? What are the jobs that we currently get paid for that will never, ever go away? And like the conversations is wonderful, and everything from arts and artists, musicians, and food and hospital, robot chef. Are we going to really have a robot cook my fine dining? Maybe not. But cultural meaning roles, emotional health. Except my sister-in-law, who's a psychiatrist, I asked her, well, would that ever be replaced? She's like, never. Humans must engage with humans. And I'm like, well, what about an AI app that could provide emotional therapy to a person who doesn't have access to a therapist? She got quiet real fast, because those are some AI proof jobs that we think are AI proof, but then when you take a roadmap perspective, like, hey, if the AI could be a little bit more empathetic, well, we've got that already, then we could build an app to be a personal therapist to a person who's in need, who wouldn't necessarily be in a population that would have access to a therapist in the first place. So we're talking about massive transformation of those AI proof jobs. Now,
I think Asimov wrote a story about that once.
yes. And so the other question, the other side of that coin is, what are the jobs that should go away? What are the jobs that should never go away, and what are the jobs, what are the jobs that will never go away, and what are the jobs that should go away? And that discussion topic reframes wait a second. Hold on. I've got a long list of stuff that I don't trust people to do, but we do it because that's just what we do. But now we have an opportunity that if we could get the AI, and it gets my students to think forward into that transformation effects, universe, that entrepreneurial universe that I think is so fundamental. That to me is a very healthy discussion. I've had some incredible successes with that topic, and hit me up. I can show you my notes on leading that discussion. But Carlos, thanks. All right, I got too much stuff here. So trends, robots, automation. So yeah, like we don't have the dexterity yet, but wait, take a look at the robots coming out of China, and the dexterity is there. I mean, we've simulated human level fingers in NVIDIA, and we now just have the mechanical equipment to do it. We're looking at the target price point is $120,000 for a fully articulated robot. So if you could buy a humanoid robot fully articulated with a cognitive engine at $120,000, then we're just like, I no longer need to hire a human to do so many of those tasks.
Just an alert that you told me to remind you. We have passed like the half of the combined 2 hours.
Yeah, I know. All right. So
I want to make sure that we get to the demo part.
Okay. Well, I don't know if we have. All right. So the demo is coming. So I'm just going to put in some more data. This is your homework assignment. Oh yeah, Agentic AI is here. By the way, if you know folks at Deloitte, man, they are just hitting home runs on their reports. They are really just outstanding reports. They are analyzing exactly what's going on, and just fantastic people. So kudos if you know anyone at Deloitte. All right, I'm skipping over all these slides. PwC also came up with another report that I thought was fantastic. Let me skip. Accenture. So again, in the context of workforce replacement. Oh, this is another paper that I just stumbled upon. I don't know how good the paper is, but I thought this graph was really important. The average number of minutes to complete a task with and without generative AI. So again, like this falls under the question, like who are the primary beneficiaries of agentic AI and automation? It's the shareholders. I mean, that's the default answer, the primary beneficiary. There are other benefits, meaning, hey, you were able to do your job faster, but did you get a raise? No. Did you go home early? No. Your productivity increased? Yes. But did you get more money? No. Okay, so that's it. Christina, you got your hand up while I find another slide. Hi, Christina.
Oh. May I?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt this just flow about work. I would love, Todd, to know your opinion as an entrepreneur, please. I was trying to buy your slides on a faster, cheaper, better is possible at the same time. So do you think that value propositions are changing based on and how? Please, that I'm interested in this.
Yeah, the better, faster, cheaper, safer. I mean, like, wait, what? Because it used to be better, faster, cheaper, pick 2, but now we've just added safer.
Yeah.
And again, it's a great point. That safer, align that with what jobs should go away. That's the value proposition. So yes, value propositions from every business every business leader needs to rethink what they're doing. Now, look, the opportunity here is massive for entrepreneurs. Because if you're an incumbent business and you have whatever it is that you do, the opportunity is for a small startup using AI first, to just completely push you out of the market. We're going to see that. All right, so here, this just dropped like on February 3rd from from OpenAI. O3 versus top active competitors in the best human competitive programmers in the world. Oh, their O3 model is come on. What are we talking about here? The smartest person that you can hire is not a human anymore. Okay, the Anthropic Economic Index. I'm skipping over this. How holistic is AI? I'm not sure I understand that question. Holistic, spiritual. So yeah, again, more usage.
Yeah. Hi, Todd.
Hey,
I
Graham.
didn't. Hi there. Hi. I didn't mean spiritual. Don't worry. What I meant was, you just said that AI is primarily there now to benefit shareholders, right?
Yeah.
So, at what point will AI do the opposite of recommending, whatever that is, a solution that is good for shareholder value, short-term money making, but is very, very bad long-term for mankind?
That sounds like the alignment question. Like, are these technologies aligned with humans, human needs and human values?
Yeah.
That's a good question. My take on the alignment problem is that it really isn't a problem. Today, understand what this is. AI doesn't need anything. AI doesn't want anything. It's not conscious. AI is fundamentally, at every level, controlled by a human. So whatever morals, whatever ethics that human has, will the technologies and the tools and the business models and the profit motives are going to follow. Now, understand this is global. There are different rules in different countries and different regions, such as China versus the EU versus the United States. Total tangent. Folks in the EU, please, you got to get moving. You got to get these you got to get this accelerating because this is existential. But in terms of that alignment problem, I don't think that there's a real alignment problem here. I think that the likelihood of Terminator is so exceedingly small that that's not going to happen. So when you ask what's good for humanity, I think this is incredible for humanity. I think this is going to unlock changes in healthcare and, just in business and energy and, all of the food production, all of the things that make it worth living, okay, make life worth living, are going to unlock, and we're going to transition from a universe of scarcity. And how many, Henry, Carlos, how much is scarcity an issue with the research in business? From scarcity to abundance. That is just right at the tips of our fingers. We can get there. We have a few dominoes that need to fall. Energy is one of them. We need fusion energy or unlimited zero cost, marginal cost energy. Anyway, all right, I'm out of time. Coding and frameworks. Have you seen Notebook LM? Have you guys played with this? This is from Google. Go to Notebook LM. This is fantastic. I can give a demo with this in overtime. Google AI Studio is kind of like what, so if you want to play with Gemini, you can use their experimental models. They give you a number of tokens for free. Again, data privacy, notwithstanding, you'll definitely need to look at their terms of service to make sure that they're not, what you're uploading isn't private. Again, they just released
if you decide to show some of them, we have time.
Okay.
So,
all right.
so we won't have the second presenter. So feel free if you choose which one you want to show and demo for us.
Okay. So okay. All right. So I have time. So LangChain, I mentioned this earlier. LangChain is, again, this is for the Python people in the room. Please forgive me if you're not a coder. By the way, we're 6 months away from no longer needing to code. I just so don't waste your time learning. I need to take a Python class. The course that the program I'm trying to build at SVA, it's like, should we teach programming or not? I'm like, I don't want to teach artists how to code. It's just not a good idea. Designers don't want to code. So just like, talk to the AI and the AI will do it for you. Yes, there you go. So LangChain is a coding framework. Crew AI, again, this is a multi-agent platform, all Python. AutoGen, this is from Microsoft. Actually, there is a fork that has recently, in the last 3 to 6 months, came out from AutoGen, and I think they're surpassing what Microsoft is doing. If you are in the graphical user interface and you really want to wire things up, FlowWise is a tool. LangFlow is another one. I don't recommend any of these things. I just am telling you that they exist. VectorShift is another one. Oh, this was a paper that came out that just hit my feed. Sorry, folks, you're gonna hate me. Agent Laboratory, using LLM agents as research assistants. Great. How many of you are academics who have research assistants? How many of you are research assistants? Oh, lovely. So, I was giving a workshop to the film directing department, the movie directing department at SVA, and I showed them a couple of papers on AI cinematographers and AI film production, movie production. It's like we're simulating the entire movie in AI in a game engine, and we no longer need people to do any of those tasks. So Arcade is another one. What was this one? This was Anything LM. This is a tool which you can download, which I haven't used. I've used it. I was doing a lot of stuff with it a while ago. I haven't used it in ages. You can download this app on your computer and work locally. I don't know if this is worth your time. I mentioned earlier those workflow things. So if you are really focusing on workflow, hey, here's my task, it's well defined. Take a look at Zapier, Make, or N8N. Zapier's been around for like a couple of decades now. I feel like 15 years, 20 years, I don't even know. So they're now adding AI, large language models, into their pipelines. And you can actually download and install locally on your own computers and not have to pay. So that's interesting. All right, local LLMs. This is what Mehdi wants me to demo. If you are interested in running a large language model on your own computer privately, okay, turning off your internet. So for example, this is a tool that I highly recommend. It's called LM Studio, and I can shift gears in a second and kind of show you what's involved there. The other tool is Ollama. This is how come I don't have a link handy? OLLAMA.ai. Here, I'll put this into the Zoom chat. Sorry about that. Copy, paste. These are for developers. Ollama is primarily for developers. Let me go back a slide. LM Studio is kind of like, oh, okay, I want to play with these tools. I want to build something. If you're doing research, if any of you are doing research in about how large language models can be used for something that you're doing, and you don't want to pay for OpenAI's GPT-4 or o1 tokens, there's opportunity here for you to explore. All right, I'll shift gears in a second, but let me just wrap this up. One of the benefits of open innovation and open talent is that outside in, no matter who you are, most of the smartest people work for someone else. But the only issue, Henry, and this is perhaps where we need to look at open innovation research moving forward, is today, in the age of agentic AI, the smartest person you can hire is not a human. So what does that mean to open innovation research? And look, Henry, you want a PhD student. If any of you want a well-motivated, charismatic, reasonably good-looking PhD student, I'm available, okay? But the smartest person you can hire is not a human anymore. So what do? What happens to our society? That marginal cost of cognition and creativity. Holy moly, what's the future of work look like? Here's my answer, by the way. My answer, and this is the only answer that I'm happy with because it's mine. What are the jobs of the future? What are the skills that we should upskill to? Okay, it's entrepreneurship. This is it. Okay, humans plus agentic AI solving problems, creating and capturing value. This is the vision of everything that I do. I'm as an entrepreneur, as a teacher. This is the only job of the future. This is like that Star Trek economy, that post-labor economy. And well, so how do I know that this is going to work? How do I know that this is the truth? Well, Steve Rader, who many of you have met, he runs the NASA's Open Innovation Center. Humanity is not running out of problems to solve anytime soon. So a person with AI can go look out in the world with an entrepreneurial mindset and solve a problem and create and capture value. That to me is the future of humanity and the future of work. I hope that hits home. And that's one of the reasons why I'm teaching my students, who are predominantly designers and creatives, I have entrepreneurship units, business model units, because they don't think like there's a gap between designers and creatives. Like, I want to make things that look good, but we're never taught the business. Oh, it's crazy. It's such a gap in a fundamental gap in students' understanding. a friend of mine, Saima, she said, we currently value IQ, the data, the information. Well, we're going to be valuing that EQ more and more and more. Rory Sutherland's doorman fallacy, he mentioned, and this is a warning, and I think this is so brilliant and so profound. Do not replace meaning with function. Don't replace a doorman with an automatic door. The doorman does a lot more than open and close doors. So in that context of what jobs, what are the forever jobs? What are the jobs that should go away? That human interaction is absolutely fundamental. Don't replace the doorman with an automatic door just because you can. You have to think holistically. Thank you, Graham, for throwing that word into my vocabulary because that was perfect. So workforce replacement, why? Again, it's the shareholder versus stakeholder theory. Sam Altman said, we are now confident we know how to build AGI as we have traditionally understood it. We believe that in 2025, that's this year, we may see the first AI agents join the workforce and materially change the output of companies. We continue to believe that iteratively putting great tools in the hands of people leads to great, broadly distributed outcomes. So what's the strategy for success? What should we do? What's the future of work? Well, you either tell an agentic AI what to do, or an agentic AI will tell you what to do. And human-to-human roles will always continue to exist and evolve, but we need to learn how to tell an agentic AI what to do. And again, entrepreneurship, in my mind, is the mandate. That is the most important thing, because people using AI to solve problems, create value, and capture value. That's it. That's the future. We did not talk about any of the risks. By the way, there are absolutely no risks here. None whatsoever. The alignment problem doesn't exist, so we're not even going to talk about that. I'm just kidding. We could spend hours and hours discussing the details of the risks of AI. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to minimize those risks. Yes, this is the best slide transition you have ever seen in your entire lives. I've just minimized the risks. Broad distribution cannot be simply assumed. It must be designed, socially accepted. And yeah, gosh, yeah, I don't know. How do we do that? Thank you, Christina, for the laugh. So there's no moat. Everyone has access to these technologies. Yes, there are, the data centers do provide, compute is an economic, military, and political power. So folks, build data centers wherever you are, please. This is absolutely fundamental. Art of the possible. In the age of AI, the only future where we thrive is through our human relationships. Please do connect with me. Let me put my LinkedIn into the Zoom chat so you can connect with me. That is my presentation. I know I went over by entirely too much. Now, let me pull up my LM Studio. Now, one of the dangers in presentations is you should never, ever, ever give a live demo. So I'm not going to give a live demo. I'm going to just give a demo. All right. This is, bear with me. Let me make sure my confidential stuff is hidden. All right. Here's a piece of software called LM Studio, which I've been using for quite a while. I absolutely love this tool.
Todd, you should share your screen. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just pulling it up right now. Can you guys see this? All right. I have to reposition a couple things here because I can't see my own screen now. All right. So this is LM Studio. What you can do is you can download large language models. Okay. Where do you find these large language models? Well, I mean, quite frankly, the easiest place is right here in the Discover tab. So these are different models. There's an entire ecosystem of this stuff. It is absolutely insane. So here you'll see Qwen 2.5, 7B, Instruct 1M. What this means is very complicated. And I would on Wednesday, I'm giving a presentation at startups on the details of all of this. So here's DeepSeek R1, a distilled version of this into the Qwen 7B model. You'll notice that it was last updated 29 days ago. You can select different download options. So these are different quantized versions of these models. In other words, think of the quantized stuff as a form of compression. The smaller the model, the less, the smaller the physical, the smaller the physical size in terms of gigabytes, but also the lower quality the response the large language model will give you. All right. So I hope that makes some sense. You can see here I've downloaded 2 versions of DeepSeek R1 distilled Quen 7B. And so fees here, Quen, Llama. I mean, there's Gemma is here, CodeStroll, like just this entire ecosystem of stuff. I was looking for the one. I don't see the Granite on that list, but sorry, Meki. So that's one thing that you can do with this. Now, the next thing that you might want to do with this is chat. So I've gone ahead and I've preloaded a model that I've already downloaded from the LM Studio community. It's called DeepSeek R1 Distilled Quen 32 billion. And this GGUF, that's a file format. It's the type of model that it is. There's a lot going on here, but I just wanted to, like, it's already loaded. You can select different models. It'll load. It takes time to load. It takes an exorbitant amount of memory. You do need a new computer, meaning if you have not purchased a computer in the last 24 months, like if your computer's more than 24 months old, you're probably not going to have a good experience with this. I'm on a Mac, so it has the unified memory. You will absolutely need a high-end graphics card if you're on a Windows or Linux machine. So here's a prompt that I gave DeepSeek R1. I'm giving a presentation at an open innovation seminar tomorrow about agentic AI and workforce replacement. One of my slides is posing the question, why would agentic AI replace the workforce, and who are the primary beneficiaries of agentic AI? My response has to do with shareholder theory versus stakeholder theory, the primary beneficiary, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this is what it did. Now, I'm just going to show this. This is the thinking part of DeepSeek. This is new. This is one of the benefits of these reasoning models. They are providing an internal mental dialogue, to personify this beyond belief, of what it thinks it needs to do. This is incredible. So if you've played with OpenAI's O1 or O3 models, you'll see it gives this little reasoning, this little thinking. OpenAI, strategically, is hiding what they're actually doing. They're summarizing it because they don't want to give up their value. They understand that there's no moat here. So if they let people figure out how they're thinking, everyone can do it. All right. And so this is what DeepSeek does. It's like, I need to elaborate on why this is the case and make it compelling. Maybe I can break down the shareholder theory and stakeholder theory further, explaining each concept. Like, this is the thought process that the AI is going through. And then here's the response. Why would agentic AI replace the workforce? Agentic systems which operate autonomously without human intervention have the potential to automate complex tasks, solve problems, and adapt to changing environments. While automation can increase efficiency and reduce costs in some cases, its widespread adoption could lead to workforce displacement. Here's why. So again, I'm not going to read all of this because it's a lot. Economic motivation, social and ethical considerations. Who are the primary beneficiaries? Shareholders. Oops. What did I just do? Oh, I went into the my bad. I double-clicked. Don't double-click. Who are the primary beneficiaries? Shareholders, employees, customers, society at large, balancing. So now, is this good or bad? I leave it up to you to decide. In fact, that's the responsibility. The lesson that I'm insisting my students use. And by the way, my students are required to use these tools. They're required to use AI. Tell me where this is wrong. That's the critical thinking component. You're responsible. You must use this tool. You are required. If you do not use it, don't even take my class. And in fact, I've, for the professors and teachers in the room, I've been on the record saying publicly that if you are not using, number one, if you're not using AI yourself, if you're not requiring your students to use AI, then you yourself are no longer qualified to teach. And I don't care, it's controversial, I don't care what you teach. I don't care what grade you teach. Okay, maybe K-12, we can discuss that. But if you're a higher education and you're not requiring your students to use this stuff, you are no longer preparing them for the world they live in today. Forget about when they graduate in 1, 3, 2, 4 years, whatever. Like, now is the time we must teach people how to use these technologies. And so this is just one tool of what you're capable of doing. Again, this interaction is private. Nothing went to the internet. I'm interacting with a small quantized reasoning model. Does it make mistakes? Yes, it does. I've gone through a couple of things here where like, I don't like the response. So, and I'll do this in a second. Hey, somebody do me a favor. Come up with a prompt, couple of sentences that we should ask DeepSeek R1 put into the Zoom chat, write that down, and I'll run this in here, and you'll see. I want to give you a demo of how slow this stuff is. So here's an example, another tool that you can do with this. I uploaded copies of design rules. Okay.
Oh, no.
Well, I
God.
downloaded them off of the MIT website. It's open.
Oh, it's fun. It's open. It is open.
Oh, good. I'm hoping they pay you, Carlos. Like I just, but like, so I downloaded them, I uploaded them into this, and this is a form of retrieval augmented generation. So it is looking at this stuff. It's part of the context window. And this assistant, chosen context injection. Oh, so it's retrieval. So again, it is using RAG because of the length of this. If they were shorter, they would be just part of the context window. Retrieved 3 relevant citations. Again, to me, this is limited. I'm just going to expand the thought process. And I just want to be clear here. One of my questions I receive while I recommend they run experiments, my response is to look for the modularity within the businesses, practices, and industries and ecosystems. What do you think about this? Can you help me search through Carlos's books to see if she's written anything that would help me clarify my point? Oh my God. Okay. By the way, I also did this with ChatGPT. They were equivalently good answers in my opinion. So understanding modularity in business systems, strategic recommendations for experimentation, facilitating innovation through modularity, and conclusion. Like, okay, is this good or bad? It depends on what you're looking for. Develop a way to overcome the limitations of a small large language model to produce good enough result. If the technical requirements are the problem, develop a solution that doesn't need more compute. Okay, I like this. I don't know if this is a great, let me just try it. So I'm going to paste this in here. We're using this model. I'm going to click send. Now, I'm using the biggest model my computer can handle. It is very possible that my computer will crash because I'm on Zoom and I'm running a demo that I shouldn't be. So if I do disappear, understand why that's happening. The memory usage on my computer is skyrocketing because I'm also on a Mac and it's a shared memory VRAM. And you can see how fast this is going. This is low. This is not fun. This can take a while.
Todd, when we are using like ChatGPT, so this energy usage and other things goes through somebody else's PC, right? So
yes,
now you are
they're cloud services.
So my question is that what is the value here if you can outsource it for free? Apparently, ChatGPT doesn't charge you if you are not using the business account. You can outsource it to somebody else's PC. I don't need to use a powerful computer for that. My question is like, what is the core? Yeah, I understand if you are offline, you want to use like something good enough to handle your things.
I'm not sure I completely understand the question. Like, why use this if I can use free ChatGPT?
Yes.
Yeah, again, so it's the use case, depends on the use case. If you have private data that you don't trust to even let outside of your network, here's a solution. If you're running experiments and you don't want to pay for tokens, like understand, if I'm building an app, so now my computer's just starting to hiccup. I don't know if you guys can see me or not. If you're paying for an app and you're paying for tokens, you're building something, this might be a really good way to start prototyping. This is how I'm using it. Now, I will say I'm not using the R1 model because I've had limitations with it when it comes to agentic stuff. Like it's okay to ask it for the reasoning, give me the logic breakdown, but when it comes to the tool use, I haven't been able to get some success there, but that's getting in the weeds. So you can see this is just the thought process that R1 is giving me. So again, like if you,
it's fascinating.
Yeah.
Really fascinating. Truly. Todd, would you be able to send me your prompt and this reply so I could go through it?
You want to see this one?
I can't absorb it.
Yeah, that's fine. Do you want to see this one or the one that I did about your that I did for you for your book? I'll send it all to you. I'll send them all to you.
Send what you think I could benefit from.
Yeah.
And,
actually, I want you to critique the response because I was asking about your work.
I will try to do just that because I have so True Confessions. I just finished a new paper, my first after Design Rules 2. It's a tribute to Giovanni Dozzi. And it's of course about technological paradigms, which Giovanni is famous for. But anyway, it's called Pin Factories, Tailors, and Retail Platforms.
So is it published? Send us a link.
No, it's not published. I will send you the PDF. I finished it. I finished it last night, Todd.
Oh, okay.
All right.
And did you write it or did AI write it?
What?
Did you write it or did you have an AI write it?
I wrote it, except I used ChatGPT to write the conclusion and was quite surprised at how good it was. In fact, yeah, how good it was.
Did you use 01 or GPT-4o or 03 to write it? Do you remember?
It's what they give me through Harvard. It's 000 something.
Okay, all right. Because
I think it's pretty.
And I think on that, this is what I wanted to show you, Carlos. Is like, so I did 2 versions of this. I used the same prompt, same documents, but I used different models. So in this one, I used the 7 billion. In this one, I used the 32 billion. They have different responses. And also the other thing that folks need to remember, these are stochastic. These are probabilistic models. Every time you run them, they're going to give you something different. Now,
and that's the kind of research I think we need, that I haven't seen. I've seen a lot of, gee, wow, look what it can do in a test against XYZ. And I've, Excel does arithmetic a lot better than I do. And it never bothered me, but it did put a lot of accounting folks out of work at the time.
Right.
And so I think there's fine distinctions to be made. But I'm not seeing what I would call deconstruction of these models, like careful comparison on an open-ended task of the differences in the responses you get.
And that's one of the things that I've started to explore, like, what does that look like? Because again, like I mentioned this, like I really should just stop what I'm doing and go apply to school and get a PhD and focus on this, because I'm fascinated with how do these things work? How can we use them as entrepreneurs and innovators? And what are the boundaries? Like, where does this fail? And again, that jagged frontier is constantly moving out.
So but before we get to that, I have a good friend, a PhD student at Imperial, named Sheila Lin, who is on Substacks and has a stack called Thread Counts, and he's trying to converse with AI, mostly with Claude, but he's doing. So he's publishing on Substack the conversations, so it'll be like listening to a dialogue between 2 people, and someday we should talk about that offline. But
yes, please.
It's a little bit like except he's posting, he's inviting people. He's also asking AIs to provide self-portraits, like images.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, for any in the room, Sheila Lin, he's on LinkedIn. He's a PhD student, works with Kevin Corley, and is kind of researching. He's researching AI. I think he's looking for sapience. For consciousness.
Oh, nice.
In his AI partner. And that's a whole kettle of worms, as it were.
Absolutely. So I just noticed my computer finished responding. So Igor, your question, this is what it came up with. Again, is this good or bad? I don't really know, but That was the thought process. Develop a way to overcome the limitations of a small LLM to produce a good enough result. And what it came up with was to enhance the performance of a small language model without increasing computational resources, consider implementing the following structured approach. Access model limitations, fine-tuning on specific data, prompt engineering, integration with external knowledge bases. That's correct. Knowledge distillation, absolutely. This is, by the way, for those of you who don't know what that is, this is taking a large model to teach a teacher-student relationship. Scope reduction, brilliant. Personalization, okay. Evaluation metrics, yes. Active learning and feedback loops, yes. The reinforcement learning, hyperparameter adjustment, yes, of course. Not a bad response, in my not so humble opinion.
Yeah,
Todd, Suri's hand is up.
Sri,
yeah,
Sri,
yeah.
you're here. Well, you're muted.
Always listening, man. Wonderful session. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
So
Good to see you.
yeah. Hey, question. So first of all, I put the question on the project management stuff.
I missed
Basically,
it.
the research from the PMI indicated that people are not leveraging the ChatGPT tools for advanced complex level augmentation tasks. I'm doing a research myself, presenting in May. I'm doing a survey, as you all know. But the point here is, right now, if you ask that same question as to see, do we know why? You know what I mean? Is this true? The hypothesis is only 10% are using, for example. I wanted to know if this tool can come up with and say, these are the 5 reasons why, and these are the 3 things that you could do. And this is where, something like that.
I'm not sure I completely understand the question, but like, why aren't businesses or product managers or project managers adopting these technologies? Again, that it depends on their business, depends on their industry.
Correct. They are not using, meaning, in other words, you got it actually. The project managers are not leveraging the generative AI tools for where the value is for complex, processes. Okay, I put it in the chat, the private chat
I
with
see
you.
it. I found it.
And then they are using it for some basic automation tasks, meeting minute summarization, give me a template, give me a charter. You know what I mean? These are all very mundane, very boring, basic stuff. So the reason is why? Do we know why? Because we wanted to encourage more project managers to increase the failure or decrease the failure percentage. Right now, 70% of the projects fail because of various stakeholder management to whatever.
So I just want to point one other thing out. This tool that I forgot to mention does not do an internet search. Okay, it does not have the ability to go outside. Whereas some of the cloud-based tools like ChatGPT, they can clearly do a search. So I just, I'm interacting with DeepSeek R1 Distill. Why are project managers not using, again, this is a zero-shot prompt. I'm not giving it a lot of context. I'm not giving it a lot of information. I'm popping it into a reasoning large language model. A distilled 32 billion parameter reasoning model. Yet we're still getting good stuff out of it. I mean,
No, very good. And how did you start with this one? Sorry, I would like to try and I provide some feedback to you guys later too, because I have some other criteria that I want to use. How did you get to this tool? You said, sorry,
I just downloaded it. I'll send it to you later. I'll Slack you, man.
Thank you very much. This is awesome, Todd.
Dre, come on Wednesday. I'm giving a demo of this tool. So
I'll be there.
And on Wednesday, I'm going to talk about some of the advanced stuff, the parameters that actually drive an individual large language model. And so I wanted to point out that there's a lot here, folks. So
yeah. No worries. Hey, Mehdi, if you're okay, I'll just put my survey link in the chat, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, go for it, man. That's fine. I'm okay. Folks, Sri is a friend of mine from HBAP, so I invited him. But so going back to your question, Mehdi, about like why would this be useful? Well, because if you're broke, if you're poor, if you're on a really tight budget and you want to run some experiments to see how large language models will work or behave, this is a great place to start. And the other stuff is I'm just going to switch gears and add and open up my web browser here, because I think I should be showing you some other tools. I mentioned I had slides on them, but AI Studio. Let me share I'm going to add.
So Todd, if I understand correctly, so this tool is an archive. So it's not, it's
No.
so you can't make like agentic, like connect different tools to each other.
Yes, you can. Okay, so what I didn't show you was how this would apply in an agentic world. So if you are using agentic, if you're coding, if you're in Python, okay, what you can do is it runs LM Studio and Ollama, those other the second tool that I showed earlier. It runs a server on your computer locally. You can, depending on how you configure it, it can run on your network even, but you can call, you know, this from a tool. Okay. Does that make sense? So you can load, and I just realized I think I figured I have
I'm pretty sure it's me, it's not you, but I didn't really grasp it. So you're saying that we can connect them to each other and give more sophisticated tasks.
Well, again, yes, that's exactly how I'm using it. So I will run code locally on my computer, and I will connect the code. So using an API key, what we would normally do to use an API to program and access, you know, ChatGPT or O1 or Claude or Gemini, their APIs, and pay per token. Well, I could just run this here in the developers in the you know, in the server. So it's running locally. So I can connect to these endpoints. I can, you know, use get posts options and access this as a large language model running locally on my computer and access that from a local code base. But again, this is if you're coding Python. If you just want to chat and run some conversations, here you go. And again, just as an example, I could do that stuff by uploading some documents here. The other thing, I'm going to pull this up while I have this open. Notebook LM. I love this tool. So again, Carlos, love you. Sorry. What just happened here? Oh, there we go. I'm assuming everyone can see both of my screens at the moment. So here's what I did. I uploaded design rules, volume 1 and volume 2, and by default, it gives me a little a little description here. I asked it a bunch of questions. I can create notes. So I will start asking questions. I can then add notes to it. So it appears that your strategy of recommending experiments with modularity aligns with Carlos Baldwin's research. Here's a breakdown of how you can clarify your point based on sources. The other thing that I didn't like is that my prompt was not kept when I created the note. I need to ask about that. Let me just show you this. All right. Listen to this.
All right, so everybody's talking about this agentic AI, right? But like actually using it in your business, that's a whole other puzzle. It's like having a huge box of Legos, but no instructions.
Totally. Tons of potential, but where do you even start?
That's where this whole idea of modularity comes in, right? It's like the instruction manual for agentic AI.
Exactly.
So today we're going to use Design Rules, this awesome book by Carlos Baldwin and Kim Clark.
Both volume 1 and 2.
Yes, to kind of understand how this modularity thing works. And how it can help us make some smarter AI decisions.
And the cool thing is Design Rules uses computers as a main example, which, you know, fits perfectly with AI.
Okay, so
I'm pausing that for a second. What you just heard.
Whose voices are these?
Carlos, you haven't seen this? Folks, oh my God. This came out several months ago, like almost a year ago.
Oh, really? Oh, nobody told me.
The audio stuff dropped about 6 months ago and it went viral. Those are AI generated voices. They are part of Google's Vertex AI platform. Like there's just models that they offer, text to speech, and there it is. So they built a little layer in between this, and they created a summary of these two AI speakers creating the equivalent of a podcast. Now, what's really, and again, this is 17 minutes long. All right. Now, granted, Carlos has a lot of writing, so there's a lot here. Okay. This is great. Now, I will say that the use case of this has diminished because, okay, do people really want to listen to an AI podcast? No. People want to listen to, Joe Rogan. Okay. They want to listen to other people talking about this stuff. That's what they want to do. So listening to two AIs talk about something, it's good, but the use case is not going to be like, oh yeah, we're going to, I don't know if that's going to happen. Maybe for entertainment purposes, but I don't know. We'll see how this plays out. where this becomes a superpower, if you are a teacher, holy moly. So imagine these two people having a conversation. This is going to break, I know, because I have not been able to get this to work on a demo recently. I'm going to stop this. But this interactive mode, which is beta, it doesn't work perfectly. If your computer is set up for it, you can listen to their conversation and imagine you raise your hand and then, excuse me, hey, I'm going to interrupt you. Tell me about this. So you can have a third person, you, the user, maybe a student, listening to this conversation between these two professors, and the student could stop the conversation, raise their hand, and have a conversation and ask them. This is a great use case of this.
So like back in the day, what do these modular computers even look like? I mean, what made them so different?
Well, the early computers, they were like these huge integrated systems, almost like one giant Lego block. So if you wanted to change one thing,
You had to redesign the whole thing.
the whole thing, crazy complex, super expensive. But then the IBM System 360 came along, and it was revolutionary because it introduced modularity.
So instead of one giant block, we got a system where you can like swap out different pieces.
Exactly. So the IBM System 360, it let companies swap out components like processors, memory, anything without redesigning the whole system.
Oh, wow.
Huge impact on cost and also the speed of innovation.
Okay, so modular computers were a game changer. But how does this all connect to agentic AI today? Like, how does this help business leaders make decisions about where to even use this new tech?
That is the million-dollar question. The big thing is modularity lets you isolate risk. And that's so important when you're experimenting with anything new, especially AI. Think of your business like a bunch of interconnected modules.
Okay.
You can test out agentic AI in one specific module
Without risking
without blowing up the whole operation.
So by thinking in terms of modules, we can like de-risk AI experimentation, like a safety net.
All right. I'm stopping that because that'll just take way too much time. And I know I've ruined the entire day because Mehdi, our other speaker, just bailed. I ruined it. Too much. I'm so sorry.
No, hey, for me, a lot to think about.
This is a lot. And so the cool thing about this tool, and by the way, like this is just like version, I don't know what version, like they're making changes. Google's updating this. This is holy moly. So you can also add sources. You can add documents and slides from your Google Drive, links to websites, YouTube videos. Not all of them work. And you can just copy and paste text, or you can upload PDFs or audio files, markdown documents. And the idea here is you're able to create these notes, okay? So like, and again, it's not including the prompt, I mean, why was this note important, but like briefing documents, core themes and concepts on modularity and task networks, key ideas, agentic AI and modular organizations. Carlos, you would have to read this and tell me if it's good or bad. I can tell you this is, it's a good description. It's getting to the point. This is useful summarizations.
Yeah, and this is one of those jobs that should go away, right? Summaries? I hate summaries.
Right.
I mean, now, they're very useful, but I hate them.
Exactly. So, like, here's an example. So the United States Copyright Office just dropped 2 papers on their latest guidelines for copyright. And I'm like, okay, well, tell me, give me the briefing document. Tell me what I need to know here. Give me the frequently asked questions, because you click the button, it'll create it for you. So these are good tools for doing this type of stuff. I'm trying to think, which was a good one. Where's my script? No, I'd done a version on, this one, script testing. So I uploaded and gave it links to the screenplays. This was to the directing department at the School of Visual Arts, Pulp Fiction and Quentin Tarantino and Django and just some Aaron Sorkin stuff. And I asked it, help me ideate on some themes and come up with a storyline, come up with a script. And I think, here's the script that it came up with. 12-minute script based on the outline we developed. So characters, setting, the formatting was wrong. Like you'd have to reformat this in Final Draft or something like that. But the core story was there. So I then took that script and put it into another tool, which created the animatic and the storyboard for it. This really upset the film directing students, because the movie directing students, because like, wait a second, what job are we learning here? And that's the disruption. You can use these tools to augment what you do, and that's the other thing. Like when you're in this types of tool, here's my document. Tell me how I can improve it. you can give that feedback. You can tell it, you can give it the persona. Hey, imagine you're the, a Harvard Business School professor who's an expert in modularity. Here's my article and my blog post on modularity. Tell me what you think about this and give me areas to improve it. Like, that's a use case for this. And it'll help improve the blog post. But I wanted to just point out that Google's AI Studio also has, so you can select the different models. These are all for free that you can play with. I mean, again, when they release them, you'll have to pay for them. Oh wait, did they? Oh, so some of these, the Flash does have a charge. Okay, but these experimental are free at the moment. Okay, whatever. I know that Google's been really, really insanely generous with this stuff. You can adjust safety settings, you can adjust the parameters, which we didn't talk about. What's really nice is I can talk to Gemini. I can also show Gemini my screen. I can share my screen with this tool. So you could share your screen, and the same way OpenAI, you can talk to the, to ChatGPT using your voice. You can do that here. So. Hey, Google, can you tell me a little bit about what you're capable of doing?
Sure, I can do that. I'm a large language model trained by Google, and I can provide information, generate text, translate languages, and engage in conversations. Do you have a specific task in mind you would like me to try?
Yeah, can you tell me what your thoughts are about open innovation and how it will be affected by artificial intelligence and agentic AI?
Okay, let's discuss that. Open innovation is likely to be significantly impacted by AI, and especially agentic AI. AI could accelerate the generation of new ideas, facilitate collaboration, and automate certain aspects of the innovation process, which might lead to a faster pace of innovation. Do you have any specific aspect of this you'd like me to focus on?
So we're going to disconnect from that. This is just tip of the iceberg. I hope that, but that's...
Ask it if we need to speed up innovation.
Oh, I'm not asking that question. Yes, right? No. But does it, that's a good question. Carlos, isn't there a pressure of innovation acceleration?
I'm sorry?
Aren't there forces that exist that will increase innovation, the speed of innovation?
Oh yeah. But so what struck me just as a listener is this: it's been trained on all the press releases in the universe about
everything.
Stuff. It has, you could almost see it putting in whatever it said, increase the rate of innovation, so it's almost like giving us the mean of something, the average 3.
Yeah, even truly innovation, or is it by definition recombination?
Well, okay, so yes, everything that came before us is built upon, everything we do is built upon what came before us. That is the definition of innovation. Occasionally, historically, we get these leaps and bounds, right, Meki? But, to say that these tools are not creating something new is demonstrably false. And here's the example. The low-hanging fruit example is if I ask it to generate an image of a cat laying on a windowsill in the sunset, and the arrangement of pixels that it gives me have never existed before. So it's capable of outputting something new to the universe. Is it useful? I don't know. Maybe that's the threshold that we need to.
So if I could break in and explain my question, because this has started to intrigue me about these models. They're trained, so they're going to give you what they see most often, or they're going to give you stuff that comes up frequently in their training, cliches.
Not necessarily. That is not necessarily true.
Well, but suppose you think, as I thought here, that he's giving us this. It was a he voice. It was a male voice. He was giving us a cliche on speed up the rate of innovation as an implicitly good thing, as a consequence, but within context, a good consequence. It strikes me that what one can do as a strategy for pushing it out of the middle of the LLM is then challenge and say, hey, but who says we need more innovation? I'm trying to figure out how to experiment. How to experiment in ways that are not as GWOW as I've been reading.
And look, in those, putting on my desire for PhD thinking cap, yeah, those types of experimentation and those questions from a rigorous perspective, like I'm really interested in running through this stuff and figuring out, looking at the distribution. And by the way, there are studies that talk about the distribution of the training data. How do these large language models respond to the outliers? Are we losing outlier information? And yes, we do in certain circumstances when you're distilling a model. If there's some outlier data that does not get transferred into the distilled model, the teacher-student model, how do we reduce that? And do we want to? Again, it depends. But the thing that I don't know why this popped in my head, but something that folks need to understand about prompting and interacting with the large language model, not the agentic stuff, just the large language model itself, which is what we were kind of doing. It is a subtractive process. We are, based off of the prompt, based off of the input and the context window, we are subtracting from the universe of weights and biases that are in the model. So it falls on us as the user to prompt effectively and make sure that what we're prompting is the right way to do it. I can pretty much tell you that the conversation I just had was real low-hanging fruit. So it's like, yeah, I'm not giving it a compelling push in the right direction. Yeah.
No,
yes, right.
It's been totally fascinating. I have to go. It's 3
goodbye.
o'clock on the East Coast. Todd, where are you going to be on Wednesday that one can?
Oh, it's, at 8 p.m. Eastern on startups, the HBAP startups, that community that I run. I'm teaching LM Studio the details of it. So I'm giving another demo of what I just showed. Yeah.
Okay. Can anybody come or?
Everybody, anyone and everyone can come.
Oh, I mean via Zoom.
It is on Zoom, yeah.
Okay.
Would you share the link with us, Todd?
Okay, can you share the link? Thank you.
I can. Oh shoot, I have to update the website. Shoot.
Not to worry. Post it on LinkedIn.
I'll post on LinkedIn, but here I will. This is the website. I haven't updated the website for my own talk. Great. That's last week's talk. But and I'm driving up to Boston on Thursday through the snow, and I'm freaking out right now.
Okay. Guys, this has been fabulous. Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Maddie.
Carlos, thank you so much.
Thank you, Carlos.
I hope this was useful. I know this was ridiculously long, and I'm sorry that the other, who was it, Amog didn't get to present.
Oh, he will do it next week. And let me thank you first, Todd, for your wonderful presentation and also the demo. I appreciate that. So let's officially close, but we can stay in the room overtime if anybody wants to.
Please stick around for some overtime.
I have to go